All right. What's up, everyone? Welcome to the latest edition of A Few Good Mics, episode 26. It's been a while since we've last recorded a podcast. It must have been at least probably a month or so.
Yeah, been waiting
Tonight,
for
tonight it's we're missing Mike and Garb, so just
the
me and Nate
usual,
Dog tonight
usual
in a little
Mike
two-man
and
game.
Garb making up excuses. Just can't get the ball in their court. Can't figure it out. So
Oh,
2-man
visiting my
crew tonight.
parents. Oh, I'm not
Excuses.
home.
Not home, but I'll blast the group chat with my how pissed off I am about Wisconsin football. Whatever.
Yeah, speaking of that, the college football playoff second week of that did come out tonight. It's the top four stayed the same with Georgia at number one, and then Alabama at number two, Notre Dame at three, and Clemson at four, with Oklahoma at number five. The biggest jump, I guess, was well, at least into the top 10, was TCU moving up from moved up from 7 to 6, and then Miami jumped from 9 to 7. Wisconsin stayed at 8, and then Washington and Auburn went it round out the top 10 as Ohio State and Penn State both expected fell out. So we'll go with since we're me and you both Badger guys. Let's rant a little bit on the how the Badgers are getting screwed here.
Well, I mean, it's funny though. One year we play we don't have our schedule's not great. We have Northwestern. They're ranked. Iowa's ranked now. I'm sure Michigan, by the time we play them, they'll be ranked. So if we can win out or win those games, that's three top 25 wins that we have. And everyone's so high on our schedule. It's like Washington. Like Washington really has such a great schedule compared to us. I mean, TCU. I mean, their schedule's not great. Miami probably has a little bit better schedule, but it's just a matter of looking at the big picture. I mean, it seems like every year everyone loves their Ohio State, their Alabama, their Penn State. You know, your Oklahoma. I mean, Oklahoma. I watched that Oklahoma State game, and it's like it was literally not even football. It literally was like, let's play 500 in the backyard and see who the hell catches the ball. Like, no defense whatsoever. So to have them at number 5, I thought was a little. And they had a bad loss to Iowa State earlier this year. So, I mean, to have them at 5, Wisconsin really just they can't gain any ground. They keep winning games. I mean, I was actually at that game at Indiana, and I mean they took a little while to get going, but that's how they play. I mean, they're not a team that's going to go up 40 nothing after start of the second half. They take a little while to get going, but once they turn the Jets on, it's all Badgers all day. So I mean, they're just getting snubbed, and I mean I think it's something we see every year. We always would like that chance to play an Alabama or play we always put the SEC on the schedule. And the one year we don't, we're playing games, winning every game, and we just can't get the respect. Just because they look at it from, I mean, strength of schedule is one thing, but Alabama, last time I checked, had same amount of top 25 wins as we did, and they have some games that I'm like, you should crush the hell out of Colorado State, and you only beat them by like 2 touchdowns. You should crush the hell out of LSU, especially with LSU's kind of on the come up. I mean, and they only won by 2 touchdowns this last weekend. So I mean, Badgers just can't get their respect from the committee, and I think it's just a tough call for us, and I think it's something that I think down the road, next year, 2 years from now, we're gonna get our schedule a little bit more dominant and a little bit, but that's when you run into more losses and stuff. So, I liked our schedule this year. I mean, It's not a lot of great teams, but I mean it's I think a solid schedule. So
And,
that's just my take.
and one thing I don't get is like they scheduled the BYU game back in 2012. They were a 10-win team then. You can't really get on the
You can't
Badgers
fault
for
them for
that.
that. No,
It's not
BYU
Wisconsin's
was
fault
not.
that BYU took a shit in their program. And then you look at it, you look at their wins. Northwestern's always tough. Nebraska, that's the one they blew out Nebraska on the road. Nebraska might not be the top program right now, but it's always a tough place to play.
Yeah,
And I don't like it's so disingenuous, I guess, because if it was like a mid-level SEC team, or let's say if Michigan had this schedule, they might be ranked number one. Just because it's
right.
Michigan, it's a blue blood program, and it's Jim Harbaugh. It's just you look at Wisconsin, yeah, they're putting up great numbers every week. They got a Heisman contender in Jonathan Taylor. They got a top 5 defense in the country. Like, who says they can't compete with these top programs just because they haven't played one yet?
You can't
Because
even.
they've got the top 2 ingredients for one: a solid run game and a top defense, and at least a decent enough quarterback that can make some plays. You know, I'll give it to, like, Hornibrook hasn't been a stud at least, but shit, he's at least good enough to win you games. And I just don't like how it's just, I don't know. It's so disingenuous to talk shit about Wisconsin when you wouldn't say the same thing about another team with that record in that schedule.
Well, and you look at it too. The teams that are every team besides us is always in that top 10 hunt, top 5 hunt, whatever. And that's why we're getting snubbed. It's like, you look at the schedule, and I mean you see, Alabama plays a piss poor schedule. And somehow they're still number 2, and I think that's why Georgia jumped to number 1 over Alabama, because their schedule is so much better than
And really,
Alabama.
you look at it, it's not that much better. They played Notre Dame earlier in the year. They're not this Notre Dame team. They're not. And they barely beat Notre Dame.
Yeah, by skin of their teeth.
And
Yeah.
look at the other teams. They play, like, I'm looking at their schedule right now. They played Appalachian State, Samford, and Mississippi State. They're okay.
Yeah.
Tennessee's trash. Vanderbilt's trash. Missouri's trash. Florida's trash. And it's a down year for the SEC, and they're going to give them all credit because they're undefeated in the SEC. Just because
Well, they
they still view
still.
the SEC as the number 1 conference. It's
That's the
not.
thing. That's the bias. That's the bias. That's how they see. They still see the SEC as the dominant, conference in college football, and that's just something. I mean, the Badgers are kind of the team that they're trying to get. They're trying to be one of those, like you said, blue blood programs, but they're not. We've had great years in the last 10, 15 years, but I mean, we're not a Michigan, we're not a Notre Dame, we're not a Miami. I mean,
And that's only because they go back to the 80s, and and like for Michigan
they
State,
have
the
history.
60s.
It's like the Packers,
But
same
you
thing.
look at the last 20 years, Wisconsin's one of the most uh, underrated and one of the most consistent programs in the country, because they play. They've this decade alone, they've been to 3 Rose Bowls, and they have bowl wins against top SEC teams. So it's not like they're not a middling program anymore.
Right. They need to be given the respect they deserve.
And they're one of the teams that they still win without the 5-star recruits every year, because we know how to fucking coach players.
Yeah, it's just one of those things that, like, I mean, you see a lot of these guys. I mean, I think John Taylor was a 3 or 4-star, and I mean, it's only a freshman. We got three more years left of him, and it's like, you look at it that way. It's like, coach him up. That's all Paul Chris knows. He knows how to coach him up. He's got a good staff with Jim Leonard and um, you know Rudolph is or not. I can't remember the offensive coordinator's name. Um, but anyway, guy that can coach him up. It doesn't matter if you're a 2-star, 3-star. 4-star coming out of high school. If you go to Wisconsin, you're gonna be a lot better than that 2 or 3 star that you started with. So
Yeah, so it's I don't know. I just it's I get it with because they haven't played like ranked teams at the time they when they played, but it's not like there's a bad team because of that, you know.
right,
And like I said before, it's just the bias and the disingenuous. Like it's it's just they wouldn't say the same thing about another program, and that's sort of what ticks me off the most. And I did some. And what really ticks me off is how everyone's fallen in love with Oklahoma just because
yeah.
they've like yeah, I got they got a high powered offense. I get it, but like, is it really that great of a performance when you're giving up 50 points?
That was a basketball game. That was literally like what 65-55. Like
It's yeah,
that shouldn't
six
happen in college football. Like that score should not happen.
and that those scores only happen in the Big 12 because they
Big
don't play
12's
defense.
offense, offense,
Like I
offense.
did some research on it too today, and you look at the teams a lot like points per game, scoring defenses, right? The
Mm-hmm.
Badgers are number 5 in the country. With the Big 12, they have 3 in the top 50. TCU is at 6, I think, and then the other two are Iowa State and Texas. Oklahoma comes in at 75 out of 130 teams. So they had 3 in the top 50. And then you look at the Big 10, they have 8 in the top 50. So half the conference is in the top 50 in scoring defense. Like, and you're saying that the Badgers aren't playing anybody good. It's just a joke to me.
Yeah, Big 12. I mean, it's always been on the kind of falling apart. Since they kind of dissolved. But I mean, and they don't get the recruits. They get it's an offense. It's an offensive conference. They go there to score points and it literally felt watching that Oklahoma State game on Saturday. It literally felt like we don't have to play freaking defense. We'll just score, score, score. It's just like it's boring to watch. It's like literally watch. It's literally like playing. It's like putting Wisconsin up against like a junior high or high school program, and they're expected to just kick the living shit out of them, and then it just doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah. So I don't know. And I guess also like what I said tonight sort of went on a Twitter rant tonight. It was like looking at the playoff just in general. I don't think the SEC gets 2 teams in. Like I don't care what happens. Just because uh you look at one of the big reasons I think why they actually decided to go to a playoff. Like you remember when Alabama played LSU in the title game,
Mm-hmm.
Alabama won like 9-7. Like
Yeah,
that was a shit game.
they don't
And
want
it's like
that.
and everyone knew that was a mistake at the time. Is like they've already played each other and LSU won. LSU should be in the title game. Why should Alabama get another shot when they already lost to LSU? You know?
Right.
And that was when Oklahoma State was right there with Brandon Whedon and Des Bryant, and they were putting up big numbers. And that could have been a great game, LSU and Oklahoma State. And I think they knew that was a mistake that they allowed that to happen with the computers and stuff. And I don't think they'll make that same mistake again.
And also, I could definitely see Alabama doing what they did. I believe it was 5 years, maybe now, maybe more than 5 years ago. I could definitely see them last game of the year losing to Auburn. I think that's a loss. It could be a loss on their schedule, whether people like to agree with me or not. I think Auburn, I mean, they've got 2 losses, but they're a really really good 2-loss team. I mean, if I think if Alabama loses, they're out.
Well,
You know,
if anyone loses to, I think before the championship game, I think they're out. And hell, that would be a rough scenario too. Is if, well, maybe not Alabama, just be. Well, I got to take another look at the standings, I guess. But shit, yeah. If Alabama lost to Auburn, it would be Auburn in the SEC title game against Georgia.
Yeah,
So yeah, then Alabama would be out
and
because
then if
they wouldn't even
Auburn
play in the
win,
championship
and
game.
then if Auburn wins in the SEC championship game, then you got a whole can of whoop ass you need to figure out because I don't think either of those. I mean, one of them will get in. I know they will because I know how much bias these committees have for the SEC. But it's going to come down to that. And if it basically you're tossing one under the bus, and then another one's going to get tossed under the bus.
See, and that's I think why they put Auburn at 10, just in case for that doomsday scenario where let's say Auburn beats Alabama and then beats Georgia. Like once if Georgia
They're in the top
if
four.
Auburn beats Alabama, they probably end up jumping Wisconsin unless it was like Wisconsin moves up after the Iowa game, like if they move up to like 6 or something, because you got TCU and Oklahoma facing off this week. So one of those teams, whoever loses that game is done because they don't have a title game to get a second chance.
Right.
So that would knock one team out, and then yeah, they would probably take a two loss Auburn over an Oklahoma, I guess, if everything probably definitely a TCU if everything stays the same.
Yeah.
Just because they would end up beating Alabama and then Georgia. But you look at Georgia, they play Auburn this week, and then Alabama, they got Mississippi State this week, and then Auburn 2 weeks. So I mean, they got a couple tough games, but
yeah. So I mean, Georgia could even lose this game, and it could be vice versa. It could and then it could really blast the SEC wide open if Georgia loses to Auburn this week, then Auburn beats Alabama the next week, and then what would your scenario be for the SEC championship game? Would it be Auburn and probably Alabama? Well, I guess I don't even know.
Georgia's already clinched a spot in the title game.
Okay,
because they're
that's
in the
what I
SEC
thought.
East, and so Auburn wins against. Well, if Auburn loses this week, they're done.
Right, because that'll be at
Just
3
because
losses.
they would have 3 conference or not conference losses. I got to take a look again. Auburn that would be their second conference loss, and Alabama's still undefeated, so that would pretty much knock them out unless Alabama loses one on the way before Auburn. So Auburn needs to run the table, but I'm just looking at it, and then Notre Dame, they've still got 3 tough games too. So they got Miami this week, at Stanford as their last game, and I wouldn't even put it past Navy in between them running because you know how the triple option offense gives teams trouble.
Yeah, especially I don't think Notre Dame's defense sees that a lot, except when they play Navy, of course. But
yeah, that's unless they're whether they play Navy or like Georgia Tech or something. That's really the only teams that run it anymore. So yeah, but we all know Wisconsin has to win out anyway, just because of the lack of respect, like we said. But yeah,
I think we gotta not just win out, but I think we gotta put a lot of points up. We gotta, make show
they've
the
got to be
committee.
convincing wins.
It's
got to start with Iowa.
You can't just beat Iowa 10-7. You can't beat these teams by 3 points and then expect to get in. You got to blast Iowa, especially they got to make a statement. Blast Iowa 45-7. Go, just beat the shit out of them so that they realize that okay, especially Kirk Herbstreit because he's a pile of shit anyway. Just to rub it in his face how much he loves his precious Buckeyes. But they got to win out. They got to win the Big Ten championship game. They got to put up a lot of not just a lot of points. They got to play some damn good defense as well. So
Yeah. And yeah, if they can make a statement against Iowa, who just absolutely thrashed Ohio State, like if they can turn around and blow out Iowa, like I think that would really say a lot of Wisconsin. Because I think even if it's Michigan's not the title contender, it would that's still a good win. I don't care what
yeah,
you say.
regardless, yeah.
But I don't know. I think I've ranted all I could on Wisconsin in this playoff committee here.
Yeah, I think I don't have any juice left for this subject.
So we'll move on to another topic of choice to rant about. The Packers got dominated by the Detroit Lions on Monday Night Football last night, and which led me to write for A Few Good Mics. Check it out on afewgoodmics.com about how the Packers, after the season's over, because I think the season's lost, even if we're just 4-4 right now. I think the season's over, and they got to get rid of everybody. I'm being completely serious. I know I called for it was actually on this day last year, which I think is pretty funny. How I called out saying that they got to do something with McCarthy or Capers or Thompson or something. And then of course Aaron Rodgers said he would run the table, and he did, and they did. And then they like we all know how that ended, but this time they don't have Aaron Rodgers to save them. And I think it's like we had 2 weeks to prepare for this game, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't let Hundley throw the ball until they were down by 20 points, and it didn't matter. And they couldn't get any pressure on Stafford. Stafford tore him apart. So I don't know. I think Aaron Rodgers, like I wanted to deny this like for the longest time. I've been sort of denying it, saying, oh yeah, we got good talent, which I still think we got good talent, but it's Aaron Rodgers that really elevates them to like the whole next level. And without them, they're complete dog shit. And I was like, hey, maybe they're still okay, but no, I think they got to clear everybody out. I want to hear what you think.
Yeah, I mean, I think first one that's got to go is Capers. I mean, I've heard enough. I've literally exhausted every Capers argument I can put out there. I mean, you got to get pressure on Stafford. Stafford's a good quarterback. He will burn you. And guess what he did yesterday? He burned us. We couldn't get any pressure on him. The only positive thing I could say about the defense right now is Blake Martinez is like tackle man, like tackles everybody. But I mean, it's just one of those things. I mean, I can't keep defending Capers because, I mean, just the amount of, the defense just isn't there. I mean, your defensive linemen, they can't get to the quarterback. Run stopping is horrible. We made freaking Theo Riddick look like he was a Pro Bowl back last night. And even though Abdullah fumbled twice, and I mean, it's still one of those things just to have that. I mean, I don't really want to put the game. I mean, they said at the start of the game they need to take the training wheels off Hundley, and the problem is, like you said, until we were down 20 points. Oh, now let's air it out. Let's throw it deep. You should have been doing that from first quarter on. The kid's not going to learn how to be a deep ball quarterback if you don't let him toss it deep. You can't win games in this league with Teddy Bridgewater throwing the freaking ball 4 yards a carry. I mean, 3-4 yards a catch. You got to air it out. You got to get it to Jordy. You got to get it to Devontae. You got to get it to Cobb. Whoever you need to get it to, you got to get it to him. And if, it's crazy the offensive change that you see. I mean, Hundley's been on this team for 3 years. I mean, yeah, you don't want to go out and get a guy, but now you kind of look at it and you're like, I don't think it's completely on Hundley that he's not ready. I think it's McCarthy that can't, he's so conservative. He doesn't want to take the training wheels off and let the kid run with it. He'd rather, oh, let's kind of take it slow, take it easy. And that's why they're losing games. That's why they can't win. That's why they lost 3 games in a row, just to, his stupidity and, just not his play calling is horrible. I don't know why the hell you're on your own 47-yard line. You got, I think, 2 yards on a 4th down. Oh, let's run a little bloop around the corner with Cobb. That's not gonna work. Like, what the hell are you doing? It's just one of those things. I'm with you. I think they do need to get some fresh bodies, in that front office. That means get rid of McCarthy, get rid of Capers, finally bring in Elliott Wolf. I've been waiting for that for 2 freaking years. Just need someone that knows the team. Thompson's one of those guys. He's great. He's great at finding talent, but it's making talent great is where he kind of and I'm with you. I could have told you could have told me 3 years ago, oh, Packers, take away Rodgers, we'd be okay. We'd be okay. We're not okay. We're definitely not okay. Rodgers is that team. You take Rodgers away from that offense, I mean, you take him out of the picture, we can see what the hell we're getting here in Green Bay. It's just one of those things to, kind of be dominant with Rodgers and, feel like, we're gaining some ground. This could be our year or whatever. And then all of a sudden have that taken away from us. And now it's just like, well, what the hell do we do now, guys? Like, it's just – I think this season I'd be happy with a 7-9 record right now at the way we're going. If we can get to 7-9 or 8-8, we're not going to make playoffs. I'm not even going to talk about the playoffs. But if we can get to that rate, I think that would be it would make us all like, oh, God. Like, thank God that year's over. So that's my take.
See, I don't even think they should go 8-8. I think they just need to bottom out from here if they're not even going to make the playoffs. Because if they're 8-8, nothing's going to change.
Right. They're not. It's going to be the same. When they're 4-12. That's when they're going to actually, okay, you need to go, and you need to get the hell out of here.
See, it was 4. They went 4-12, and that's when they fired Mike Sherman like 10 years ago.
Yep.
And it's because if we're 8-8 or 7-9, all the talk is going to be, oh yeah, we just didn't have Rodgers, we didn't have this, we didn't have that, and I don't know. That's basically just saving Dom Capers and Mike McCarthy's job, I guess. And regarding Hundley, he's been here for 3 years. And yeah, if you play that bad and you still have the training wheels on him, one, you either don't think he's good enough. Hey, what are you doing? You've had him for this long, and you've had 2 weeks to prepare for this team, and you're still not doing anything. So, and if you really trusted Hundley that much, why would reports be coming out that you tried to sign Brian Hoyer?
Right.
Who we all know is trash too.
Right.
So, and I agree with you on Elliott Wolf, man. I just because he had the opportunity to get the 49ers job last year, turned it down. So you just move, I wouldn't say completely get rid of Ted Thompson, just make him head of scouting. Just say, hey, we'll send you anywhere you want. We know you love to scout. Just do all that. And then maybe Elliott Wolf can do something like what John Elway did, is just realize you have a Hall of Fame quarterback at your disposal, and only winning one Super Bowl with him isn't enough.
All right. Keep him in the organization. Yeah.
And you look at what Denver did. They spent the money on the right talent, and they ended up winning a Super Bowl the first year. So, the first or second year, whatever. So, yeah, they got to do something, because it ain't working. They're just embarrassing themselves right now.
Yeah, it's just it's making every fan that's everyone wants to back Hundley. I do too. When Rodgers went down, I wasn't like, let's go get Cap, let's go get somebody. let's work with what we got because that's what the Packers do best is not getting they're not a big they don't go through free agency. That's what makes them them. I mean, I said let's get Hundley. I mean, I was hoping he would be more of a Matt Flynn story where like, oh shoot, this kid can play and we didn't even realize he could play because that's how I thought on Flynn. I didn't think Flynn was going to be really that good, and then we tossed him in there and we won that Dallas game, and I'm like, Jesus, I didn't even think we had a chance. But I just don't see and I mean, is it Hundley's fault? I mean, you could put a little blame on him, not much, but you got to put most of the blame on McCarthy because McCarthy's the one that's kind of babying him by, and just can't, just let the kid throw. That's been my thing ever since Rodgers got hurt. You cannot let this kid just freaking throw 3-yard passes every damn play. You got to let him air it out 15, 20, 30, 40 yards because he's never going to learn how to make that throw if you wait 5 games for him to finally get one. And he's been close. He's gotten close on a couple of them. He's going to get one in the coming games. But I'm sick of this babying process. Like, especially at quarterback, I get it. Rodgers has been our guy since 05. I mean, it's just one of those things. Or excuse me, 08. I mean, he was drafted in 05. But it's just one of those things to, have this guy be with us for 3 years, and it's like, he's not like a Sean Watson where he is a rookie. This is his first start. I get the training wheels idea with that, but obviously Sean Watson proved us all wrong. But it's one of those things like with Hundley, he's been with us 3 years. He's not a rookie anymore. Get him throwing the ball, as deep as possible. So
Yeah,
that's my take.
Yeah, I hear you. And it's like, well, I guess this is how you realize it's a low point right now is that they're actually underdogs against the Bears next week.
First time in
which
9
is
years.
Fucking embarrassing. But I don't know. Maybe against that defense they'll be able to let it fly, but we'll see. I'm not betting on anything. So I guess we'll move on to the next biggest news of Wisconsin news. The Milwaukee Bucks making a big time splash trade for Eric Bledsoe. All they gave up was Greg Monroe and heavily protected first and a heavily protected second round pick. So Greg Monroe, they've been trying to trade him for the last year and a half. So they basically got him for free. I don't know. I think it's a great deal. You can play him alongside with Brogdon. He's a high flyer, athletic guy. He can long guy that fits what they're trying to do defensively too. So now you can move Snell to the bench. You can move Brogdon to the bench if you want to. I wouldn't do that, but you could. And then you got like Brogdon, Bledsoe, Middleton, Giannis, and let's say Thon Maker or John Henson. That's a pretty good starting lineup. And what's your thoughts on the Bledsoe trade?
I was a big fan of it. I think, to get another piece, a piece that averages or has averaged 20 points a game, very recently, and it's just been on a franchise where he doesn't get the credit, and you don't see it because the Suns have been horrible since like Jason Kidd left, and that was a long ass time ago. But it's one of those things that to get a guy like that, at such a cheap price. I mean, we've been trying to get rid of Moose for forever now. I mean, and I've never been a big fan of Moose anyway. I mean, he's good for rebounds, can't make a damn free throw, can't shoot. So, I mean, that's really all he's good for. I mean, with Bledsoe, you get a high flyer, guy who can shoot, guy who can dunk, guy who can, really kind of run the ball all over the court. And I think, you're right with I'd like to move Snell to the bench now that we have Bledsoe. Maybe put Brogdon at shooting guard. and then have Bledsoe run the point. Or I mean, you could do a dual thing. You could have switch it up sometimes, put Bledsoe at shooting guard, have Brogdon play the point. You can kind of switch it up with these guys.
Exactly.
I think either one of those options would work, but I think it's just another piece. I mean, Bucks need to do something. I was hoping they kind of get off to a better start this year. I mean, they've been kind of, they just dropped to 4. I think it's 4-6 tonight. So I mean, they need to do something, to kind of spark their year. And I think they need a guy, another big scorer, because I don't think we're going to re-sign Jabari Parker. So I mean, I just don't think. I think he's going to want too much of a price tag, and he's great when he plays. However, he's not durable. So I don't think the Bucks will spend Andrew Wiggins kind of money on him. So I mean, to get a guy like Bledsoe, and I also believe was Moose in the last year of his contract anyway.
Yeah, so they were going to let him walk.
So they're going to let him walk anyway. So basically, they got rid of that, contract anyway. So I mean, it saves some cap room and whatnot. And obviously Bledsoe's in a bad situation in Phoenix. So for him to come to Milwaukee, I think it'll be a lot better situation for him. So I was real happy with the move. I'm glad that the Bucks are actually, making moves like this, kind of trying to spark the interest, and I think that'll do a lot, coming with that new arena they're getting in next year or two. So I was happy with the move.
Yeah, big times ahead for the Bucks. I think they know they're, like you said, they're 4-6, but you get a good player like Bledsoe in the mix, and then you just figure it out later.
Exactly.
So I think that's all the real topics, I guess, the main topics we have. We'll transition. This is our transition to our few good minutes segment. I know we haven't podcasted in a while, so
might turn into 5 good minutes like PTI.
Yeah. Might turn into 5 good minutes. So Nate, if you've seen anything the last month that you want to sort of get off your chest, let's hear it. Floor is yours.
I'm going to go within not even the last day. I'm going to go with today. As you probably have heard, LiAngelo Ball is in the news, and you all know that I was going to rip him, and now he's potentially facing 6 to 10 years for shoplifting at like some little mini small store in China. Him and 2 other UCL players are looking at 6 to 10 years. And the way I look at it, it's like, come on. You guys are college athletes. Especially, with Ball, I mean, you knew this wasn't going to fly. I just don't see the point of, you're college athletes. You could get any shirt you want, any, pair of shoes you want, any headphones you want. And why are you going stealing shit in China? It just doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, I get it. You're young, you're stupid, you make mistakes. We've all been there, done that. We've all done stupid shit when we were 18, me and Mooney included. And it's just one of those things to, you got the spotlight on you, especially LiAngelo. Am I pronouncing his name right?
Yeah, you got it.
LiAngelo, okay. And it's like, I think this is the kind of what I was saying was going to happen with LaMelo, with the whole, you got so much pressure on you that you're just going to crack one of these days. And I think this kid's kind of seeing the pressure crack, as a young kid, already, I mean, he's obviously plays for UCLA and whatnot, so he's obviously a good player. But I think sometimes the pressure LeVar puts on him, I think you see the pressure that he puts on him with what happened here. I obviously could I be wrong? Yes, of course I could be wrong, but it could be just one of his guys like, hey, grab this, and at the same time it's like, don't be so stupid. Like, especially on foreign soil, when you're facing a shoplifting, you're in their territory. They can do whatever the living hell they want with you. If you're doing CUS, you probably, you know, probably scrape by, you know. But I mean, I think they're going to be in some trouble, and I don't think they'll get the jail time like they're saying. But I think there will be some consequences. There'll be some suspensions or, whatnot. So that's my take. Screw the balls. I still haven't seen that show yet, and I don't know if I want to. So that's all.
All right. Thanks for that. I'll go with pretty somber 2 good minutes, I guess. The sad news of the day with former Blue Jays and Phillies pitcher Roy Halladay died in a plane crash at the age of 40. Just want to say sort of what it meant to me as a baseball player. Obviously, I'm a Toronto guy, Toronto sports guy, and obviously the Jays are my team. I remember when I first started watching baseball, he was the guy, man. Like he represented Toronto sports at that time. It was especially right after the Vince Carter trade. The Leafs were shit. The Raptors were shit. And you could in Toronto sports, you're always waiting to see what Roy Halladay would do every fifth day. And he was one of the best pitchers of his time. You see all these articles today about how young pitchers modeled their games after him, and especially stars like Cole Hamels back in the day modeled his game after him, and said how much of a nice guy he was, and how much he represented the community, and how much he did well, and and he's going to be inducted into the Hall of Fame next year, or 2 years from now. So it's just sucks. It's 40 years old. It's way too young, man.
Yeah,
Just to come out of nowhere like that. I don't know. It's one of those things. It's like you don't believe it when you see it. Just for but it's sad to see.
sure is.
But also on a lighter note, I want to end with this. I want to thank Twitter for giving us 280 characters. So
What'd you have to do?
Longer rants, man.
What'd you have to do?
I can actually tweet out a decent summary of the podcast, and
you don't have to cut little bits and pieces out.
It pissed me off because every time I post a link, that takes up like half the characters. Some shit.
How do you get 280? Like, do they just pick random people?
No, they did at first, but they gave it to everybody now.
Okay. No, that's not good for me.
Yeah, I can't wait for that.
Yeah.
Barely handle you with 140 characters.
It's a lot to deal with, especially if you're Kentucky Fried Chicken right now.
That's right. So I think that's where we'll leave it off for episode 26. I'd like to thank y'all for watching, whether it's on YouTube or whether you're listening on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts. Hopefully it won't be another month until the next time we post one, but we will see. Thanks for listening. Bye, guys.